we went on this journey after basically being told I had a 1% chance to be alive in 8 months. And then at 4 months, the neurosurgeon oncologist looked at my latest brain scan. This was after I had done 6 weeks of treatment at Immunocine. And they looked at my brain and they said, honestly, Dr. Pete, you have a normal brain. There's no signs whatsoever. You are in 100% remission. This diagnosis was probably one of the greatest gifts of my life because it established a deep-rooted conviction in how the body works, and that cancer doesn't have to be a death sentence, and that there is a way out if it's strategic.
Joining us today is Dr. Pete Sulack, who has kind of the unique perspective of both being in this space because he is so knowledgeable about cancer and various cancer treatments, but then he himself is also a cancer patient and someone who has been treated by Immunocine. So he brings just a very unique perspective, and I'm just very excited to get to catch up with him today and see how he's doing and pick his brain, so to speak, on some of the things he's seeing in this space. So Dr. Sulack, thank you for joining us today.
It's an honor. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think a good place to start, and I do this because you're definitely not shy about it, is if maybe you could just remind the audience a bit of your diagnosis and your situation, what led up to such your strong involvement and care for cancer and cancer treatment.
Absolutely. So November 25th of 2024, after about 18 months of having symptoms when it came to what I thought was brain fog, my mind would freeze. I didn't know if it was stress related. I didn't know if it was parasites. I didn't know really what was going on, but I started having minor little seizures in my right hand when I was driving. When it came to baseball with my boys, 2 of my boys play baseball, and I would try to just play catch with them, and it would actually go sideways. And I started dropping things, running into things, really on my right side. And so my brother actually, who has a medical doctor working with him at his office, convinced me to go to the emergency room on the Monday of Thanksgiving. That day before, on Sunday, we actually sat with my family, our boys, and 2 of my daughter-in-laws, and we just said, I think I might have had a mini stroke. I don't really know what's going on. I'm going to take a step back. That next Monday morning, we met with our staff. My staff didn't have any clue. We covered it really well. But what I was finding in my own consults with my patients is that I couldn't even write my signature. Like, I had a notepad and I was writing the alphabet just to make sure it was a little bit more legible. And finally, on that Monday, November 25th, I went to the emergency room, and after 8 hours, they came in and MRIs and CT scans and said, Dr. Pete, you have a glioblastoma. At the time, they said I had a 12 to 18 month window and life expectancy. They've now come to find out that it was actually a grade 4 diffuse astrocytoma. And the neurosurgeon at MD Anderson said I had a 1% chance to be alive still in 8 months. And so that really rocked my world and really set me up on a course to say, okay, if cancer can live in my body, then how do I build up the terrain of my body so that cancer is no longer hospitable to the terrain of my body? How do I supply the sufficiency the cells need? And we went on this journey after basically being told I had a 1% chance to be alive in 8 months. And I can honestly tell you this from the beginning, this diagnosis was probably one of the greatest gifts of my life other than my salvation and my family, because it established a deep-rooted conviction in how the body works, and that cancer doesn't have to be a death sentence, and that there is a way out if it's strategic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you definitely are resilient. I think we're about at that 8-month mark, aren't we?
Yeah, we're very, very close. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where we are today. Of course, we treated you back. So you're right. You were diagnosed end of last year, as you stated, and then we did treat you earlier this year, earlier 2025. Yeah. And here we are. We're just a few months after. So to of course level set and be fair, we don't know what it looks like in 5 years, 10 years. We can't predict the future. But today, at this initial sort of deadline, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
Honestly, I feel better than I've ever felt in my whole life. Um, I really believe this is just an incredible gift because it allowed me to, one, become very, very specific with my diet, very specific with the supplementation of things I was putting in my life, um, and really just begin to approach it strategically. At the 4-month mark, the neurosurgeon oncologist looked at my latest brain scan. This was after I had done 6 weeks of treatment at Immunocine, and they looked at my brain and they said, honestly, Dr. Pete, you have a normal brain. There's no signs whatsoever. You are in 100% remission. And, un, you know, I kept the same routine? Absolutely. Because when you find something that works for you, you want to strategically apply that. Because what I continually see for people is that they become cancer free and then they kind of become slack on their lifestyle and so forth. And for me, Jordan Rubin actually said to me early on, we had developed a ketogenic diet and it was personalized to my blood work and everything. And I just said, how long do you think I'm going to have to be on this, Jordan? And he said, I don't know. How long do you want to be alive? Like, how long do you want to fulfill the call of God in your life? And for me, so it's more of a stewardship, a discipline, a diligence when it comes to some of the things that I'm doing. But yeah, so I had surgery December 11th. They removed a tennis ball sized tumor. I have a 10-inch scar here. In a 7-hour surgery. I was awake for 5 of those hours. And so to make sure that when I came out of it, that my speech and my motor control was right, they said that they basically removed 90%. They left what was kind of mixed up into my speech and motor control areas of the brain. And then at 4 months after going through Immunocine, there's no sign whatsoever of any remaining tumor growth, and I'm very, very grateful. So the approach I took is very different than the approach that some people take. I really looked at chemo, I looked at radiation. I was open to those, but I could never get peace with those decisions. And so for me, even though MD Anderson offered a dendritic cell opportunity and Duke University through Germany offered the same, I felt, when I was doing the due diligence, when I was talking to Dr. Josh Axe and Jordan Rubin and really counseling them, they both looked at the research and after talking with you as well and said that Immunocine made the most sense for me. And so I ended up going to Immunocine, to your facility, which was an incredible experience. Because they really helped bring clarity, you took the tumor that was extracted from MD Anderson. We preserved it in a way that you all could use it. And then we mixed it with my plasma and created a dendritic cell. And from my layman's perspective, the dendritic cells are there to go scavenge my body for any remaining tumor growth or future tumor growth. And kind of the rest is history.
Yeah. Now, can you remind me, did you do any chemo or radiation after the surgery?
No, I really did. I didn't do any chemo or radiation. I feel like regardless of what your approach is, for my wife, it was just making sure that, I had a peace and a liberty with the decisions I'm making. And that's what my wife told me early on. She just said, whatever you decide, we will support 100%. And then just talking to, I talked to oncologists and talked to neurosurgeons and talked to radiologists and everyone else. And for me, I felt like the best course of action was to do Immunocine, where I could have the opportunity to do chemo radiation later on if necessary. But no, I haven't done anything, and I actually feel better than I've ever felt in my whole life. Mm-hmm.
So and of course, I think we'll both, be clear that, of course, these decisions are always case by case, and we can't necessarily guarantee, just because a patient may come to Immunocine doesn't mean they don't do chemo radiation. But in your case, in your story, especially with them leaving behind some residual cancer and knowing that, there is very, very little alternative explanation for not only why it's not there, but why it wouldn't have grown. And, you could debatably call it relapse, but they never really got it all. So the fact that it is gone is sort of proof in the pudding that your body once fixed, has been able to actually innervate the brain tissue and take it out. And that is, in a way, and I recall, Pete, you didn't have a ton of symptoms with us. Like, it's almost as horrific or as large as the surgery is. It, again, not to mislead, but in your case, it almost seems too simplistic. Like, all right, well, you got your immune system fixed. You did other things to support that process and kind of normal biology. And you're here today, and no, we don't know what the future holds, but this is already this is already not where your doctors expected you to be at this time point. So
no, they, said a 1% chance to be alive in 8 months. And I, credit that to the grace of God, and knowing that our bodies are fearfully and wonderfully made, and that our bodies were created to work. And I tell people that I work with as well, like, the body's innate ability is to heal. It's not to break down. If you cut your finger, it heals. You don't have to pray about it. It does, because the innate intelligence of the body is a self-healing mechanism or organism. And we see that over and over again. And so if we give the body what it needs, if we make sure that it's not nutrient deficient, make sure that there's not mineral deficiencies, and making sure that the detoxification pathways are open the way they need to be, restoring fluidity of the cell membrane, opening up the mitochondria, honestly, the body is brilliant to do what it was created to do. But the question for me was, okay, how did this happen? Was it parasites that have been around the world 25 times and could have easily been parasites? Was it ionizing radiation, the fact there was a brain tumor? Was it stress? Was it the combination of all of those things? Was it mold, heavy metals? Was it Lyme's? Was it post-COVID? All those different things? Or was it just an assignment trying to, stop me from fulfilling the call of God in my life? I believe it was that. But the thing is, for some reason, I had a tumor. And so why was my body able to allow a tumor to grow in my body? And what did I need to do to establish the terrain of my body so that tumors and cancer could no longer grow, that it would not be hospitable? And that's really how I approached treatment, is a combination of medicine with the natural in building the body back up so it can effectively heal.
Yeah, no, I couldn't say it. I really don't think I can say it better myself. I think your perspective is spot on. It is certainly what I would do. I mean, we're very big at Immunocine, of course, at trying to put people on the right racetrack. It's one thing to run and win, and people are running with all kinds of things, be it standard of care, chemo or alternatives. But our whole bend is, but you're not even on the racetrack. I mean, your immune system clearly is not really fighting against this cancer, or it wouldn't be here. And so when we fix that, all of a sudden, all these other efforts become far more efficacious because, okay, well, now you're on the track. So now doing these other things, absolutely, we're big proponents of. There's, especially when you're dealing with severe prognosis and a tough diagnosis, there's almost always something more you can do, but you, of course, want to follow the science and try to base it on. And that's why it's so tricky for a lot of our patients, is sometimes they don't know who to turn to or where to go. And so we've had obviously a lot of patients that have gone through your program and have seen your posting, you're sharing your stories. So I do appreciate that. I mean, obviously a lot of patients, it's a very private situation, but you've decided to, I mean, if we're going to put the spiritual bend on it, which I definitely would, like, it's, there's no hurt, there's no problem that God can't use, and you're using it. And you have gone through this tough ordeal, but you're here, and you're letting other people know that it's not over. Just take a breath. It's tough, but it's not over till it's over. And there are things that can be.
And I think that's for my wife and I. On Thanksgiving, 3 days after I was diagnosed, I approached my wife. I said, hey, what would you think about me inviting people into this journey with us on Instagram at the time? And it was quite a bit apprehensive. She was quite a bit apprehensive because it's a vulnerable spot. Like, you're inviting people into our world where the doctor had given me a 1% chance to still be alive in 8 months. And so what does that look like? How do we navigate that? Like, are you sure we want people into our business, so to speak? But I'm so grateful she did, because kind of the approach was, if we're going to go out, we might as well go out swinging and inspire as many people as we can along the way. Allow them to see true transparency and vulnerability and authenticity. And so, but I'm so grateful she allowed me to do this, because it's been amazing to see the people that are inspired by, and really what I'm doing is I'm providing them simple, practical solutions that I've personally used when it comes to diet, detoxification, oxygenation, faith, and really how I'm approaching and how I'm going after this journey. And it's just, I just want people to know that no matter what the diagnosis is, no matter what their prognosis is, like, there's hope for you. And you can have the confidence that if you build the body back up, in which we all can, open up the detoxification pathways, oxygenate the heck out of those cells, like, we can win this thing, especially if you have the right perspective. You know, for me, kind of the biggest thing in my spirit throughout the whole time has been, my God is so big, so strong, and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. It's just like the little kids song, you know, from Sunday school. But for me, that has resonated the most in my spirit of, wow, like, with you, God, all things are possible. And so making sure I keep that perspective. And, you know, there's a lot of people that are very, very burdened. I talk to them every single day from all over the world that are burdened and struggling right now with the diagnosis and the prognosis, and really not knowing what to do. And unfortunately, you know, a lot of the conventional treatment will tell you diet means nothing. But yet they'll give you a PET scan that will flood you with radiographic glucose and light that cancer up like a Christmas tree. In the same conversation, they'll tell you that diet means nothing. Well, diet means everything. And if you look at cancer's fuel sources, yes, it starts with glucose, but it also goes into, but it's very adaptable. And it goes into glutamine, and it also will, you know, feed on fatty acids. And so how do I begin to approach this? How do I starve cancer? For me, it wasn't about treating cancer. It was about putting the body in position that it could starve cancer. You know, even Dr. William Lee, that Harvard researcher, talks about, you know, there's 200 angiogenesis inhibiting foods. Angiogenesis means blood supply. Inhibiting means basically stops blood supply to tumors or starves cancer. But if I can personalize that, if I can look underneath the hood and figure out for my specific physiology what foods are best for me, for my specific physiology and DNA variations, okay, what do those detox pathways look like, and really begin to create a game plan that works synergistically and beautifully with what you all are doing at Immunocine. It's just like for me, that was the 1-2 punch. Yes, I had surgery. No, I didn't do chemo radiation. Not that it's bad to do chemo and radiation, but for me, I just couldn't get peace with it. And so my biggest thing is, if you don't have peace with something, be still or take a step back. For sure, don't take a step forward into the unknown. You know, God leads us beside still waters, and there's a rest for the people of God when we live by faith, and there's a liberty. And so my biggest thing is, hey, if you're burdened or yoked, hey, get some more information, be still, take a step back till you get that peace, and then absolutely go after it. And for me, what gave me the most peace was surgery, this program we have called Be Resilient, and Immunocine. Like, that was the three-legged stool, so to speak, that I really approached. That's the three-stranded cord that can easily be broken. Was let's attack it strategically, making sure we have the peace of God in every decision that we make. And if we don't have peace, then we're going to take a step back. And so that's really kind of how I've personally approached it, and how my family has approached it.
Yeah, no, we definitely notice, you know, to almost simplify it, it's very rarely is someone's story, you know, I was constantly stuck in a panic attack, I was terrified, I was super anxious, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't breathe, and I was fearful every moment. And that's how I overcame cancer.
Yeah.
That never
it doesn't work. Yeah.
And you know, it's sometimes it sounds a little hokey to say attitude counts or it means something, but we've seen it. I mean, we just have. And the patients with this healthy, what I'll call a healthier perspective, they do seem to do better. Yeah, no, I mean, look, you brought up a great point. If someone asks me, you know, hey, can changing my diet completely cure my cancer? Of course, I can't say absolutely. Like, who knows, right? Maybe. But if you ask me, can it be helpful? That I can be absolute on.
Yeah.
Yes. you pointed it out perfectly. The merits of a PET scan, the mechanism relies on the fact that cancer is hypermetabolic and rapidly consumes glucose. Thus, putting excess glucose into your body is probably not going to skew odds more in your favor. You're probably actually fueling cancer growth. So dampening that, stopping that, does that make a difference? I would say absolutely. Does it guarantee an outcome? No, not in and of itself, but you start putting these different pieces together as the Be Resilient program tends to be. And you put these pieces together and, here we sit today. Pete, you look phenomenal. It wouldn't look like you're going anywhere anytime soon. And of course, that you have us at Immunocine, we still stay in touch with you. Of course, we do have boosts. We continue to talk about the science. Like we're again, something that we're a little different on, I think, is we do really invest in patients, and we become, I don't know that you'll ever get rid of us, to be honest. So, we're pretty much here, and we're going to check on you as often as we can. And
I think that's the thing too, Immunocine, looking underneath the hood and examining blood work and everything, it puts the odds in our favor. Is diet important? I believe it's 100% important. I believe food is medicine. I believe research proves that and validates that. And I feel like people are starting to become more aware of, hold on a second, there's a disconnect here. Because if you want to put odds in your favor, just put them in your favor. How do we do that? Cleaning out your diet, proper supplementation, understanding your interactions with chemo radiation, understanding contraindications, looking at all the options and seeking wise counsel. There's tons of information. I can Google all day long and find a ton of knowledge out there, but wisdom rightly applies that. Wise counsel is, the Bible talks about diligence. The hand of the diligent rules and is made to prosper. What's diligence? It's a divine working effort. It's strategy. It's seeking wise counsel. It's, working just very, very hard at a very specific goal and strategy. And I believe if you do that, no matter who you are, I really believe that all things are possible, but why wouldn't you try to put things in your favor and stack the odds for your benefit than to just leave it to chance and just take what a doctor says? And I don't care which doctor it is. I don't care if it's you, me, an oncologist, a radiologist, whoever. Just because we say something, we all want what's best for you and for the patient. But my objective is, let's just empower them with information, and educate them so they can make a informed decision in regards to what they have peace with. And for me, my approach for 25 years of clinical practice has never been, hey, do this or don't do this. My approach is, hey, I can share with you what I've done, and I can give you the education, and I can give you the research and so forth. But ultimately, you have to make a decision for you and your family. And whatever you guys decide as a family and you have peace with, then I believe personally that a doctor should go approach them in that position and fight for them from there. Because life is hard enough for me to raise my own family and support my family, than for someone else to say, well, you do this, or if you don't, then you're an idiot. Well, that's just not a way that we can help people. So my objective has always been, let me come to where you have peace, and I will fight for you from that position. And your team did that for me. You met me where I was at, where I had peace, and you fought for me. And I cannot tell you how grateful I am and my family is for just the support that Immunocine had in my own life. I consider your team family, and I would do anything for them because they loved me well, and my whole family really, really appreciates it.
Oh, I love that, Pete. Thank you. We feel the same way. We do. Yeah. And you've seen that now. So you've seen that. Yeah. It's not just word vomit, but it is really how we approach this. So, definitely we'll have to have family reunions, and that's in the plan. That's in your future plan. Yeah. But it's just, and so again, I think we share a very similar mantra, and that is, in Immunocine, right? Full disclosure, Immunocine can't be everything to everyone. We have a core science and ethos and what we do. But I think you've pointed out well to patients who are also trying to figure out what else they can do and how to improve their own odds. We provide what we can, but
Yeah.
it is important to have wise counsel. I would recommend, whether it's with you or someone you would recommend. There are people out there who have made this their life's mission, who have studied this, and because, as you know, we can go on the internet and find. We can be overwhelmed with information. Yeah. It's not even necessarily bad information, but it's so much that it can be very paralyzing almost, right? It's analysis paralysis where a patient just doesn't know what to do in their situation. And so I do think it's important that patients are reasonably educated and informed. That's why we do what we do, where we try to meet with patients and go over the science here and what we're doing. But, certainly we've had patients that have worked with you and other people in the space who we do find that is important. Or we definitely value that. So, because
a lot of people, they ask me, they go, Dr. Reed, how do I navigate this? I mean, even on social media, my objective is to really inspire people and give people the tools based on the research in the studies that are out there, medical studies that are out there, and oncology studies and so forth, and about, okay, these are very effective modalities or foods or angiogenesis inhibiting foods, or like these are the things that I'd kind of approach it with. But I've had people say, well, Dr. Reed, how do I navigate all the things that you talk about? And I think it really comes down to 5 things. Number 1, diet. And for me, the more personalized I can make the diet, the better. Number 2, supplementation. And making that as personalized according to my DNA and nutrient deficiencies as I can. Number 3, detoxification, making sure that the detoxification mechanisms at a cellular level, also the 5 main organs, digestive system, kidneys, liver, lungs, and your skin, are all supported effectively. Also, oxygenation. How do we oxygenate cells? And so a lot of modalities in hyperbaric oxygen therapy and high-dose vitamin C and ozone and hydrogen water and different things like that. And then faith. And so I think if you just do every one of those things, not all the things that I list, but if you just make sure that every single day you're adding the sufficiency the body needs through diet and supplementation, that you're detoxifying the body through different means, and detoxification is as simple as supplying the sufficiency at a cellular level, making sure that you're not deficient in minerals and vitamins and so forth, because otherwise you can chase after parasites and Lyme disease and heavy metals and mold and all these different things. But if we give the body what it needs, your body is brilliant to actually do that detoxification on its own. And then looking at faith, like how do I live from the right vantage point? And so how do you navigate the journey? Every day I'm supplying my sufficiency, detoxifying my body in certain capacities, I'm oxygenating my cells, and I'm living by faith. And if you do that, I think you've created a game plan that you can win and really crush this thing. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Pete. So, well, I don't necessarily want to take up more of your valuable time. We know that you are helping a lot of other patients through their own journey, while also, of course, taking care of yourself and your family. Is there anything we did not touch upon right here that you have a strong inclination you want to talk about or elaborate on?
No, I think the biggest thing is when kind of people hear the story, I just want people to know that there's hope for you, no matter what you're dealing with. I'd rather be on death's door and get moving in the right direction than assuming you're healthy, move in the wrong direction. Mm. There's a lot of individuals out there that feel great, have no symptoms, but they're literally playing Russian roulette with their life because they're heading in the wrong direction. And so I'd rather take someone literally on death's door with an incredibly poor prognosis and a diagnosis and begin to take small baby steps in the right direction, because if we can do that, we can gain momentum. And I think for me, to come and be a part of our journey, I put together a free protocol. That's an 84-page document of everything that I've personally done in my own journey, including Immunocine and everything else. And you can access that for free by following me on Instagram and just putting protocol in any one of the videos. And we will send you, and just check your messages, and we'll send you a downloadable free guide. And it really is the blueprint that I followed personally. And hopefully just to encourage you along the way and help support the body at a cellular level. And cancer is metabolic, and it is based on genetic mutations and mitochondrial dysfunction. And so I think if we can begin to reverse that and support the body is brilliant. And I just want you to know, no matter who you are, you can be encouraged that there is a way out. And I really, really 100% believe that.
Yeah, as do I. And as do we at Immunocine. So we're definitely simpatico there. So thank you so much for taking this time. I have no doubt the patients and people who are on our platforms who see this are going to reach out and probably find you on Instagram and ask for that protocol. So don't be surprised by that. But you can also, of course, to anyone looking and watching this, you can find more information about us on our site at immunocine.com. We really do put a lot of information there in our FAQs and various videos. So if you look around, there's a decent chance that the answer, if you have a very specific question, the answer may in fact be there. But I thank you all for taking time to watch this. As we're both saying, it's not over till it's over. And you just need to take smart, healthy steps forward to getting back on track. But we're here for you, and we appreciate your time. Thank you. Bye.